But do you know what happened? Google came out to say, it is never true, because or challenge everything that this world has come to believe. And he was fired. You see, this became a big talking point, especially in America, but also among intellectuals and different groups. The question is, why is this even a big issue? Adentina James the more a big issue. You had government officials, you had professors, you have institutional heads, you have all kinds of people, pastors, lay people, everybody commenting on this issue. And you could see the confusion. I didn't know a big issue. Well, Samokaya Enra ye can sembi, and somewhere ye can be from Enra ASA. Until recently, not the issue of family, ye kasa busunya will be any what a busunya was. Ye kasa busunya will be any busunya. But a free bra, especially the West, ye can say ye share the definition of a busunya. Na ya fe ye define what a busunya should be. And we have ended up creating what we call confusion. Young people growing up are completely lost when it comes to family. Ubusa, an average young person, so what is family? They don't even know where to start. They don't know what they should be talking about. There is so much confusion, and this confusion, very Bonica said, it is consolidating in the minds of young people growing up. Sometimes because I'm scared what kind of future we are going to have with all this kind of confusion. Now you can say as a result of such confusion in Intino, every country, in fact, countries cannot even come to terms to agree on a legal definition. This has led to a situation where family is what anybody decide to make it, and you can be brave. But the reason why this question is a very big issue, you may think that the problem is only with family, but no, the problem is also with gender. Until recently, everybody knew, every field of study, governments, everywhere you go, Asorimu, Abontion, everywhere you go, people knew. So there were two types of genders, male and female. Why? Because we train in the basic composition of a human body. That's all the cells, the composition of the cells. So here are body and the way our cells now come together to form what we call organs. Our organs now come together to form what we call body systems. And what is in male is completely different in most cases than what is in female. And therefore, we said, determine who this person is. And James, the more is just one of the many reasons why we are in such a confused state. Have come into this world of confusion. Just like in family, we are having this confusion also when it comes to gender. I mean, come on, Sembi. You see, your gender defined your biological composition as the sum total of all the structural, functional, and sometimes behavioral characteristics that distinguish the male from a female. Say, and may determine who you are. But if the same time our confusion started by around the 1800s, especially within the Western society, it has led to, in fact, one of the regimes I created, we call it the feminist movement. Feminist movement, the people who came out to say, whatever a man can do, we also women can do it even better, and in so much, with so much certainty, said right. We shouldn't actually say nipana bosu your bent or your bar. No, we should change the narrative and start saying, Yen determine who is a male and who is a female. Unim said now, most fails will say gender is no more biological construction, and you will abusu in determine your gender. Name a society. The society. Into say gender, so your ba na your beman is a community now with him. And I say nipa I want and I want to bit me define who you are. And as a result, try to put this whole thing, in a much more clearer definition. I say social construction of a gender. I say the gender roles are an achieved status in a social environment, which implicitly and explicitly categorizes people and therefore motivates social behaviors. Enti yehwe unipadua no, yehwe se de osi behave when yes, there be body no ekire se wo your baba to the way I behave no de wo ye bema nti free na ekro no ye bema. This is how we have defined, come to appreciate and come to define the difference between a male and a female. And this is what the whole world is embracing. Unim, the amount this whole concept is so dangerous. They say, just think about this story. Not long ago, there was a student to be year 7 for you be and fans were the 11 years, be at 10, far end of 10, 11 years, or about to say 12 years, some of them 12 years, but just around fans average of 11 years, year 7. Na mremu kakreni na baako ye mituti, ye student na oba school ye niema kakra mu ho baby. One morning me call school na me friend say, me born day na say come here na make us na me can say okay, ade awo ye na me use the pronoun which is he. The man, and the whole class came to look at me as if say me name what I'm talking about. I didn't hear. This boy had the letter if we fear Abba say on any mammy who say he is in the wrong body. I'm talking about 11-year-old child. I'm not even saying it's a student, a child. Or the letter Abba. Ama wakan letter not sharing an for 4 years and school no be changing the doc ne year if we say the time they go through the process every year, he's supposed to be a she on your bed or maybe overnight, just overnight, the parent and the akolano define a new gender for akolano. Akolano is what I'm actually in the wrong body because I was born a girl. But me pie for some reason me pie send me a bema until I need to go back to who I truly I really are. Now when him the masam ne yare to some extent there was this is about before see COVID. No, there was a day na school sometime a part-time woman one of these lectures. Now this guy by me money ding, but or your advocate for equality. Now, or spend time with the whole school, in assembly. Now, or starting a story. No, 10 years ago, na me ye Bema or your police ni. In fact, police ni awaye juma, waye juma ekwanimu pa ekwanim ye. Na some about 6 years ago to the time I work as I know who is a big mistake. No, into I go through the process. I feel no ade. I must say a friend Diana Oba na ujina ho and a walker said, or more advocacy, almost support to me pump so come out on me. Now your pon be a call demon. Who say ya nan colano, and nipa muda no monti musako say a call demon. In the students need be started busa yang I know a work, as tutors, no busa me question. Now question about busa and say, so I really got confused, but I didn't know what to do. But let me just stop you there because I don't want to carry out and talk more about what actually happened. That word, akolani yusu, define the current state of a lot of our young people in school. And so akola, I will go through the educational system. You need to get closer to akolano. You might be doing all you can, thinking, say, but that is not enough. You need to start having very, very serious conversation with akolano, even at the age of 5, at the age of 6. It will be too late. Why? Because there is so much confusion out there, and we need to give so much credibility to what we believe and take them to the roots which the Bible speaks about. Gender, as we speak, is no more what your biology says you are. And yet, but it's what people are forcing you to believe you are. I don't want us to digress because today I really want us to bring it into a family situation and see how we can understand and appreciate this whole diversity in our families. So what am I referring to? God created gender as male and female, full stop, regardless of whatever confusion. And we have a lot of Seventh-day Adventists, even some really profound Seventh-day Adventists, who seems to be going on the wagon of, say, out of equality, any of the identity. So you appreciate people, and people must be able to change and understand the gender issue and this kind of things. We need to be mindful of what God says. Thus saith the Lord, because God is very clear. And when you say God created male and female, and he was very clear with the engineering work I used to hear, to create this biological composition that makes a male and a female. But that only leads us to something even more profound. Even more critical about yang, because an average Seventh-day Adventist may say, we know there's this confusion, but I want us to go to the next level, which is even more deeper. What does this mean for me and for you and in your family? How does this gender play out? Well, let me just remind everybody, say, a lot of studies have gone on to show, say, the Nyameka is very consistent with what a lot of tests eka. The Nyameka se ban bema no very consistent with a lot of studies. But what is happening here, so we call something political correctness. Because the issue of equality, so we are professor. Nasa wokoye study, wokoye research. Nasa will come out with a finding that is very similar and close to what the Bible is saying. You are more likely to lose your credibility because you are not accepting the politically correct language. And unfortunately, a few people want to protect who they are, their status, and therefore they zip it and they don't talk. And until I made one person, a quote, I say, just to assure us, say, even if you take God out of the equation, the average scholar knows the truth, but we can't say it. This is a guy called David Schmidt, very, very profound psychologist. I say it is an elemental fact that people increasingly don't want to hear. People don't want to hear. And I don't know whether this guy has still got his job, because this was one article he wrote just this year in Psychology Today. Because sex differences in personality and behavior are real, and they have a profound effect on many aspects of health. We know, say, a lot of people go through this whole confusion of gender transformation and things. They end up sometimes messing their whole structure, almost say body need the composition, and they get ill. They form this whole thing, have a lot of problems and all these kind of things. Yet, out of political correctness, we accept it. So this is what he's saying. But even if we leave the field of psychology, so you're a young person, I want you to take note of this. If you leave the field of psychology and you go into all the other fields, developmental neuroscience, that is where you intini from the brain to the rest of the body, neurons, your nerves and the nervous system and your neurons, any other thing, confirm, say, the way the female body work is completely different from the male. And again, medical genetics talks about that, biological evolutionary studies all confirm. And the last one I will say here is even cross-cultural psychology, which is culture na determines all your ban as a baby. Even in the studies, every culture in this world will tell you, say, we have things that we expect a woman to do, and we have things that we expect a man to do. Every single culture in this world. And therefore, wherever you look at it, the Bible is still the truth and something that we must hold. I must spend some time to talk about this. Yes, there is confusion out there, but I want to clear that confusion with you. Say, you need to be proud of what you've learned from the Bible, because even if you stop believing in the Bible and you go and study things out there, you will come back to accept and prove what the Bible has already stated. And that is why I'm going to this extent to really draw your attention to it. So, baby, I really want you to start building your foundation and come out and stand for what the Bible says, because that is the truth. But why are we starting on ladies first? Because in all these studies, the mind of a woman is different from the mind of a man. And we are going to spend the next 2 days to look at how this difference plays out when it comes to our family. So obi dwene say eye adekra enye nokre. A different because studies ebetro say even how the way a ma smelly ade no a different from how a mema smelly ade. That is how the difference is so profound. The way a ma and a mema inya the issue, depression, issue with autism, issue with some of these ailments, and a different because of the composition. What I'm trying to say, and in fact, we'll come to this as we go through this. There is this difference. Let me put this here for now, but let's look at why this difference is important. One guy be a friend of John Gray, or true book could be and a popular statement or true, say men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Ubusano as a question. Na mi busame ho say, is it true? Say a ma and a mema are so different. Are men from Mars and women from Venus? Well, let me start by saying, say, Asama John Gray Akano, the what kind Psalms or say Nyankopon bo enipa wonderfully and fearfully. We are wonderfully and fearfully made. And that word, wonderfully and fearfully made, also shows, say, God made women wonderfully different from men. But there are things that we all have in common. John Gray assembly can say yes and no. Brunibeka say a paradox. Paradox is something which can take both answers as a yes or no. This is a yes or no, and by the time we go through, we say this session, I believe let's look at why we can say yes. Men and women have similarities. The first one, are men from Mars and women from Venus? If you answer it as a no, the reason here said the similarities we are all the same species. Nyankopon boy and fearfully and wonderfully. And Oboye Nipa, the first thing he created was creating man and woman as human beings. And because of that, we are similar. me go school no manage science. Some of the things I learned was school in year, and it points to the similarities. Said the genetics of a man and a woman are about 98.5% identical when you look at our DNA. And that shows, say, sebe, oba im free baby, bear man so free baby. And if I go to Genesis, I remember saying, Jamaica, so we bear free bear memo, meaning say they are the same species. And it makes sense to say the genetical composition are similar. Okay, these are some of the similarities we see. What else? I spent a lot of my school time studying say a mema produce a hormone yensuo ebi ewo yemu eno na ma sakola edru puberty a mano, that time unya a lot of testosterone, that's ensuo no more about system nti ma wo start e develop differently. And we learned, in fact, most people are, no manage science, I believe, so you learn to say, a mema dear, dear testosterone, and ma dear estrogen. These two ensure are separate. But did you know, say, a mema and so the same estrogen and ma one, just as a man so the same testosterone and mema one. We share this, we have the same hormone. The only difference, say, the quantity a mema producing more than a ma. So we have that similarity in us. And studies actually say at the age of 30, ufri 30 years, na enumpe was our body developing a picky when you numpe by 40, now if you want to start shrink as a human being, now we don't pay yen ketua because your body mass bone peaks and then it starts reducing. And we know, say, it is just at the point of reduction in a man because of menopause until they get more reduction, and then they will require more supplements in form of calcium and things to support them. So they be ombetimi ahodo together year. But it tells you, say, even in the growth profile, there is so much similarity when it comes to man and woman. And the last thing I probably, in fact, we can talk more about a lot of similarities, which confirms, say, yes, we are similar. But that is not the main issue for today. And I'm just making the argument, say, yes, God created us as human beings, as human species. We have a lot of things together. But when it comes to family and the species that we are as men and women are, and the behavior that comes with this, you need to appreciate the difference that makes a woman unique and makes a man unique. A man obaya stronko, na be my stronko. And this is where I really want us to look very carefully. We are saying the difference are very profound. Difference, eye ehun hia pa eye pamacho mame. Yeah. Enti de yaka enyina no eye se emma ene mema ewo enema bebre together mom ye similar, but the difference enema emma ye dance ewo ye behavior mu me the picture be to her say, because this picture here that I actually see one of the difference a ewo emma ene mema mu. But me pese e no just from to say picture ye ka ho asemi keke. Emom yanko hwe die ntie nyankopon bo oba no bo bema. Adesuafo bebre a kire yen se wofa obema ene oba adwene na se wutwa no mfoni a wutwa no picture wo scan a you see, in fact enka life enanke bia ye wo edema nke bia nke mebusa question se wo hwe the scans me no ho ya di kan no blue no mema ina orange no ma difference be na wo hu wo ewo ekwan a adwene no a connect adwene na ankasa no the way a connect no a create network ewo mo no difference be so ye be na da ni mienu ntem na enam se mentimi musent na I'm just going to move forward and become an one of the things clear was a picture yi mu say a mema adwene no ekwan network na create no links a create no a free animu ekọ wachi inti a connect this way a connect in that order but a ma de no crisscross so from one side of the brain to the other side of the brain. And this is science. This is what the medical people tell us. This is what psychologists study. You know, when they are looking omusia, so mo hwe oba ene bema adwene. Inti sa we say no edien in yenya free mu. The yenya free mu no say ekwan ya mema faso dwene completely different from ekwan ya ma faso dwene. Just by even looking at ekwan ya nyankopon afaso abo adwene no ama na ye connection no ema that difference no. Inti yehu say on the average a mema very specialized. E ka say specializer. So wakas wo ye bibia o focus on na nko try so wo ye no so well and so good on fa bibia enka ho. But so share oba de na number 1 no or ye holistic nature say ono no won hwe ade ba ku say na mo hwe bibia ye beba so ahwe how this actually applies in our family. Enye nonko one of the things that you hu o mema ho ye say a mema very sequential. What kai John da more dim di kan an example no papa na me de ye example no ayi na die no asamba call kan ye say a mema pe bi to say coding out me program or your structure, you know, you put a plan, nothing will follow the plan. But a ma and to me, papa, and it's just interesting. Say, so, every school, most people are here computer science, any maths, and you know, most of them happens to be men, a mema, and a mabe brain, a struggle with these things. I mean, this is nature. This is in the mind. This is how men are different from women. And you know, you can sequence, you can rational thought. Rational thought, actually say, a mema try say a bed dinner didn't through and through, or bed dinner and then when you say no, I do way, you're going to say, dear, a talker. Kai pesi etui. Yakoji besia krana ye dia to ebetua besia £500 a month. Yansu yaka tua ye die nyina na the end of the month ye tua rent ne ade ade sika aka no no yenyi aduane de mfim krana ka 400 enti ye kotoka ye a and you know ye to me but Bema will sit down and will be looking at say this doesn't add up but nyankopon bo ma say they don't really care about the maths. They care about the fact, say, yes, we know that problem no, but here car no, we need the car. That is it, because they will look at the emotions, you know, say, I didn't mean here, and say, soon I'm the bed you say, then we need it. We see verbal, bema bekasa about the issue, but obadiano, more of it, action. It doesn't really come through the verbs. Through the mouth. Again, part of the the detailed perception, no, so we should be more involve planning. And a madia no involve more of imagination. So many board and say the oh, but no, because my planning is so yes, sir. And then we look at logic and intuition. The difference between a kwanya nyankopon afaso abo ema and a kwanya nyankopon afaso abo mema. Now, straight away, one where the mistake how be any say ebi baako ye chen baako. That is not it. So what do ne ekwe nyankopon fa so born niema nyina, born niema nyina wie no say my creation is good. The mabo nyina no perfect. Now what that means say so we jai obema nko anse onfa ne rational idea say the nyankopon born no run the family or be run the family down. But equally so we jai oba nso onfa no nko adwene no run the family or no so be run the family down. One need to be a police. Bako, to say police, all guided bako. So they be maybe extreme right, and we extreme left, Baby, we come together and we try to navigate the central path. So they be you bit to me and move forward. You busuani beko and musa in a nyamia boy. And man needs to understand a man from that angle. The way a nyamia boy, the same as said the mema. Was a man ensu timi te mema se na timi aboa yen ama yabusua no akonanim. So straight away you see say when you have a single family, there is always going to be this tension. This problem is going to be say who helps a kwambe so na me fa so draw the balance. And sometimes very very difficult. But you go through the week, I pray say nyame be ma yen nyina na adwene. Say the situation tie bia no, nyame ama yen the tools e betimi aboa me move forward. So what does this mean? There can implication be na what den na ka kire yen, den aba na e betimi afa free mu. Me gide say ade ehu hia baako ye say ye te ase, e wo say ye te ase. Ye say de ya ka ho asemi nyina no ehu hia. But yen summarizing say the way nyankopon bo mema no nyankopon bo mo say they are long-term thinkers, and I call them leaders. Leaders say me wo vision, me wo plan be say me busua no me the neighbors duru samping penso we say, but me nim kwan me fa so de o maduru ho. That is what a leader does. A leader say me the bibia si me so na mpese me duru ho. Whether say minim kwa mefa so me dru ho na say minim kwa mefa, that is not the issue. But bibi si me so ebusuan, did you know say oye bema wasedi edikan say you need to have a vision and a direction for the family. That is your primary job as a man, because nyankopon abowo strong with that capability. Wabowo say o was sa chede no. So when you so ya enkechi e wasa wo de hyase ye adwuma. So what the whole expect is wo yire in a bemount the vision of your family, you have a problem. And I pray say none of the families ye ka ho asemi no will have this problem. And they say bema ebusa ho enne say what vision and isuade hu and dear na nyame eboame na me de esie busua ni so in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And here me pese me busua nyame de ache me, here na me de omokro, because you have it in you. But the beauty of this, say, this is where the woman comes in, because obanu bemua, all that obanu needs to know, that vision, because nyankopon aboma in such a way, that special thing, nyame de ache wo mo say me de scale nyame de ama me no ebe navigate through how any problems in nyina mu no say the be ya busua de be through that vision. Na challenge ba ko e wabusua mu pa no say obema no nya vision na ehye ni trim enti oye bibi ade na wo ye no ye good for the family, but e woni trim. But unim say men are worse at management. That is given. Bema oka manager say na the minim say na me be ye amana to aso sa, to keep the system running as it should. That is what the manager does. But men are awful when it comes to this. Women are brilliant. Why? Because God has given this in the brain, in the mind. A few tips, bit me aboyen. Na me shasi say, then this is where we get our theme for today from. Say, so we a bema. E wasa wo shasi adwene ho say, Nyankopon scale or ama oni nyina no, you need to make your lady first. Oba Nyankopon de na ba wo nchen se wo yire no. You need to make her first. So the vision of the family can be achieved. So the niswadi hunu a ewe busua ni mu no you betimi aduru ho. What do I mean? The edika na say one, for leadership skills no eboa say we busua no there will never be two captains. Clash. Because the last time wunya a car with two captains, two drivers or more driver no car na run the destination. And this is very difficult. You are the leader. Nyame a chow as a bema or the above a woman. But boa, someone found two captains issue. The same as Oba. E wasa wote ase say the Nyankopon bowo no. The vision a Nyankopon di ache busua no. You are going to help rich over boa me edro by being the manager. The helpful tips are yeka ho asem no. Enema 9 ina mede ja yenuano mema. Yedi kan for leadership skill and nyame di ama ono no. Eboa say there would never be leadership clash in the house. Yetosu mienu say you know say you can be say a man very emotional. They have emotion. Now, adisuafo nyina twen adwene say when people are emotional, ade ba ko pe no mo hia time and years. Say obi ba won chen na so wo su a nye ho na be apply analytical skills actually no. Sabre no, all that you do is just sit and listen. And sometimes it takes time. But you see where the problem is. Mema, because of your focus, ewo niema say adie we na me ye na mpese me di ho nti no ya ni nya time for everything else because sounds nyame boy yen. But the ye no ekwan befa so ye yie eye say ye beti ase say ye spend the time ama de ye yire nom ka kire ye no ye tie no a part of the specific na ye di ho dwuma ni bi, and we need to do that by listening. Men can say ye taka say ema epekasa. I don't say you know me ka say emema ekasa, but ema acts more than talking. The issue no say when it comes to the actual fact idea jumana, emema ni very open about the content. But in terms of kasa and kasa, say yeah, kasa bebre no, because of the emotions ninti no. Emma ewo something in them. Anyame edi ache wo mo. Emma sometimes their own timing kano were expressing through the emotions. In him say ma ene mema eba kasa and kasa emma kasa dodo eche mema. But the issue ani eka ho asem say mema kasa more no the content and the value of what is at stake. And only eka ho asem ti share the difference ni here. Now, not long ago, University of Maryland study, and they found this protein, FOXP2 protein, and they call it the language protein. And they realized that our protein we say a dose ewo ema adwunemu eche emema. And they work this out, and I believe say bia yemubiate say on the average oba we speak about 20,000 words a day. Because that protein, all that is doing is flicking the speech to come into what is being expressed needs to be expressed in your emotions as much as possible, but also the acted the year and but also woka ama atie. But a mema can only do half of it, so up to about 10,000. And the question, say, Sir, and some 20,000 year, it was a bar kind of, within the day, and son and who to, obey in our casanse me, and say, bear money near so anytime. So bit here. And it's really important, say, you as a leader in the house, what you say, Meyere has a biological composition. Will be on more Yankopon bo ewonimua a chese also wakasa. Even though there was another study which suggested, say, of all these 20,000, somewhere here can 10,000, only about 500 of them in our value. Indeed, does that work maths now? I dream is 20,000. It means 20,000 in a mobile 500 in a yen somewhere. Our value, our purpose, our meaning, a who here within the day. But are you willing? So being a happy home, no? You are accommodating these extras. Yame moyen, ninya ason, emma omunti. You can't the issue of time, you can't listen. As a leader in the house, you need to be able to listen to your wife, the lady in the house, because Nyankopon bomo special to have that. Now, listening meaning say to make your lady first, to actually appreciate obana nyamediama wono. You are not only listening, but you are also learning to wait. Something na yana mema anytime waiting there. Benim say mema bebre you struggle pa. In fact, ya worry na many home me kwa sorry ni ade na why ready na o take care mu say na you have to learn the spirit of waiting. It was one of my most challenging times, but I think say be bra me sha say the way Nyankopon bo ye man ase no it started becoming not a problem anymore, because you know what, sometimes I dare not me rush akono. Yes, and who here say me do asorintem. But remember, God put my family first. I need to go to church with the family. And so ye bema udwane ja wo yere ekwaso ndemu a ebi ene e wo se wo sha se na udwane ho ye. That time making your lady first meaning say you appreciate her by waiting, but also having patience. So you'll be a udwana warrior ho. I feel I will be warrior. I believe say you are beginning to picture some of the challenges I will become warrior, because Obana warrior is never like you. They will never do things like you. The same as Obana, Bearman will never do things like you. You need to appreciate their difference. We are talking about patience here, because they need time to put the brain of the male at work. Say, when you're Bema, you need to use your analytical, your logical, your planning, all this and media chose ultimate nema, ultimate bobo nema, ultimate, Fasania we say no Emma Ubano inimu. Adeba kwa yen, especially Ghana for and answer for your Europe, no yen mohwa the third point. Remember, you got three things. The first two things, the first one, say avoid leadership clashes. But I'll leave it there. Appreciating the emotions by listening, and having time for them. Adeba make us see more. There's a third point, which is say, we don't make our ladies first by enhancing their self-worth. When him say, Yakase Bema, you are the leader of the house. Now, that leadership not come with a responsibility. So a Bema na so na ye candy for a fear. That candy, there were lots in it. One of them, say, so we benya qualification. So your qualification is also. You bear the responsibility. What said the no? So we also, because you are the leader. You have to have a vision. Say, this is how I want the family to be, and that includes your wife. Where you want her to be academically, emotionally, in beauty, in everything. And sometimes it is tough, because man so there, but yeah, na, you know, man, we don't actually take that responsibility seriously. And fun say, so yeah, when you know, say, you know, and sometimes there are so many important things. They will fear projects, way at the expense. Enhance, use the leadership skill and yankopon dia to enhance the worth of your wife. What do we mean? Sometimes, and yes, on about exam, you just need to issue what we call appreciation triggers. And someone walk ama obana feel say, oh, say I so me value. Oh, I say I so cry and meet me a baby. One of the most beautiful stories I'm kind lately. Or baby or presentation. Na nikunu baye oteho or her presentation ya no ka say the way we hear presentation ye pa there. I think so bit me a teacher new. And that was enough to get the woman into teaching. And then by head of department. Just that word. Now Buso said, did you ever think of going into teaching? I never dreamt. But Nikunu use what we call appreciation trigger. We identify that is the vision. We a bema wutie ade we say me and me person will start adwene wo yire ho differently. Ade na wo ye ne da bia wonim say even almost struggle with and kwala share any juggling things around the fear mu niema ne ade nyina no. There is something in there. They just need you as the leader of the house to tell them, say, you are good at this. And they will figure out, remember, only you're excellent at imagination. They will figure out how to get there at your widest dream. You will never dream, say, obit me. And that is how you build the self-esteem in a woman. Just show them the end goal and they will figure out how to get there. And the question I'm able to say, do you know the worth of your wife? Do you see the worth? Is so valuable. And the last thing I make the four things are bema we a show o yere and our banya media ba obrem ne say who making the first in the family, in the marriage. The last one, respect. Now, respect will be actually, say it is a feeling of deep admiration, and I've emphasized the deep admiration. Say, for obi ana eniema, everybody ye can about any penty. So, or person, deep admiration, bibia when it that is what we call respect. And your respect, you say, why your servant, that is a sign of having that deep admiration. That feeling, and see, because I will respect it means to say deep down from your heart. No, so will you be. Either say you're not the kind of us who and abilities, and near my way, dear, even sometimes we and so timi ebua emano esipi ewo efie. That is what you show a feeling for. What say a dear way say dear. A dear way out me ye pa dear. Sometimes near na maybe junior ho crime and tear say that is what respect means. And the fourth thing I can want them say you will do to show to make or first. Say the respect. Yankopon above with all this leadership skill. And the question is say Obano send or no, just reverse it. Obano send or dream as a husband when it comes to respect. To who say ubuno, who say who you be who was that deep admiration man or person or man. One person addition about how a man define respect, and these are some of the things I would buy the kind or say. So oba edwene se ni kunu do no a, the first thing say oba na edwene se ni kunu no te ase say there are some time in the month obenya mood swing. Enti se onya mood swinger ono nso mfa mood swing enko ene mfa nkohia. mood swing in it say as a suddenly we know yere te ho na say when ya tantrums bi when ya wakoti bia bi mu a as ne bu afu ne ho ono ano as wo kasabasabasa as oyeye and adesua twe adwen so say oba ogidi se wo go through sa situation ni mu a nikunu etenase no eno ne no friend say respect nikunu ebu no nikunu edo no. And we know say during the time omobe go through their monthly period, they realize that they have less amount of oxygen. And yenim say wunya so what to them na say we need a lot of oxygen, and sometimes we raw water so and that is exactly what they go through when they have least amount of supply. It drew her as a respectful husband, putting your ladies first. Remember, saying Yamia Abo as a leader, what you do is to appreciate her and say, I know this is a difficult time, and appreciate your woman. And ya nonko, the tossing me no say, Unim, so washing machine will feel say, that's what Kotoba as Bema. When you because a man would appreciate say, oh, buano, with near marketing kitty with your home chores done doing the big thing. So the big thing, dying leaky, what sort of way? Yes. And so what? The little things, helping with home chores, tidying up, Abia, Bema. Sorry, wow, what's easy and possible because I think say in most homes, you're doing say ma eduma say on fee, on them, on hall, on kitchen, on way toilet so. And so by who say nikunu yes we say that is how they define respect. Oh, mikunu you are respecting me. Why? Because ojitu say eduma we say that is how they define respect. They accept say omo ye physically weak. Se bema who say oba ye physically weak. One of the studies I other aspect of this, but we make say we your bema na se debia no wo ka se na se mba de obaba ho a ma de somebody you've lost it. You've lost every respect with your woman. You need to say yes, ebia de we won't mean peja, but you are mentally strong. You are mentally robust, and mentally resilient. That is how they define respect. And of course, so we express verbal love in variety of ways. Nyesa wo kana keke. Nemum, niamanketing ketia, we are a surprising say, me kuno adwene me ho, me yere me kuno adwene me ho. And these are things eboa. Na so we say num nyina na e the healing ebreno. Healing eba ema oba no enya sa akwan no ema nitimi eboa ema busua no eyeye. The question me busa yenua no mema na nwumre ne yese leadership skill and nyamede ama no, are you willing to make them to use them, knowing say we yere a woman, a female, or a completely different in the way God has created them, in the way they should behave as compared to you? Are you willing to make them first in the family? You see, yeah, can we say no, and I know say me brene ya sunti. Let me use this to turn things around kakra and sana, yeah, the NDNSC. One of the most important thing, yeah, can we say no ama a mema no, say a bra wo can we say wo chere bema say wo se wo onya sa niema ye ka ho asemi no ye respect onya respect man yere wo ka say bema e wo se oboa ema ohunu the wealth ne yere no mudro no oboa no ema ne timi dru ba bia wo pese abusua ne dru ene we ye ka ho asemi nyina no oba enso ewo eniema nyamede a che no said the enra ne canon say nyame abon say ono ebetimi aye no ye, and therefore God expects these things to be done by the woman. So you can someone they make one seminal. Yes, family Biblia say no one is an appendix. Bema make it the woman first. The woman must also respond, and that response, and Paul can answer. 1 Corinthians. You see, one beautiful thing. Paul eka relationship anytime oka relationship or you see the body as an example. And so we hear 1 Corinthians chapter 12 or say just as the body said ye nipa kwa ewa nkwa bebre nipa ne yabako but ewa akwa bebre na kwa bia no eye ne de no. That is how the relation ye ni nyankopon ye ni yenkita hodi a ye wo Kristo mu no etie. Na woto aso a okirechire mu ani wone de aso wone de, you know, part of the body nipadua na kwa bia no e wone de. But in fact, God has placed the part of the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. Nyankopon a placed each part of the body. Now, it is so beautiful, sir. Why is it that anytime we are talking about relationship in family, in the body of Christ, we talk about roles? That is the key. Said the Nyankopon abo say once you form a relationship in your family no form ko nyankita hodie bi wo abusua mu no wa ma specific role wa ma wa de bi e wo se wo ye. The question is say ade ben ye dika aka emema de omo enye na wo oba no e de ne ye ka ho asem roles ben e na ye ka ho asem e wo ha say. Well, you bet me atwa enema bebre so, but let me summarize a few things. One, say roles bring order. Say woni nipa miensa mo tu kwan na se mo hye say akwan ye ko no obeye we na se ye hye obi ade a ema akwantuo no eye orderly, and that orderliness in nyame pe e we feel, because it is that orderliness that will make our home the sweetest type of heaven. Into roles must be seen. Yenya kwan kan text a mediagu ha say no, but I'll just rush through. I see they are for the proper functioning of the relationship of the family, and they are determined by God, not society. Rules ayeka for a woman is not determined by a political correct society. No, edi nyame asem aka kire say uro ni mesumi rule ni. Unim say saware mu say eti ase say ye was a rule we a eyi santa wanta wade ni bebre free ho. And the question is, you see, me worry for no. One of the things I realized is, I assume say everything goes, but a brand may start to taste our rules and the functions. Yes, you know, it made the home really run smoothly, because me ba minim de meye, and I get on and I do it, and I also expect something to be done. Me you know, benison sunim de ono so was way, and it helps everybody. Say nkwala wo fie ho a, and also you need to share the roles, and nyame ma ya kwankyere bebre kwan roles ifa so eye adwuma ebre ninti no. I will rush through na ebre sem no yetumi a discuss na ye, and these rules ayeka ho asem no ye di kan oba e was what and say you were made for a man. And this is not what society is saying, because as I'm making society tia a big issue. How come you can sit there and say oba ye obema for oba? That is not me saying. Remember, you see, roles no were determined by God, and that role must be applied in the way bringing order and unity. Into the eka ho asem 1 Corinthians ka ho asem munya bra to boas ne kinka o say, for a man does not originate from a woman, but a woman from a man. Why? Because a woman was made for man. What else? For indeed man was not created for the woman's sake, but the woman for the man's sake. This is the word of God. Nyankopon asem no echechremu why a woman ti oba e wasa wote ase say, look, you were made for the man. We can spend a whole lot of time to talk about this. But the number two, say helpmate. We are a boy for, remember, you can't helpmate and say we are manager. The man is the leader and the visionary. You are the manager and the strategist. Una uma a vision no ebemu because una be navigate through. What do we mean? As a home manager, ya can't we say huasem ya can't start text yi enyina huasem say nyankopon Genesis 2:18 ya kan huasem nyankopon a boy Titus 2:5 or kan huasem say this bring purity in the house and my self-control ebe fi hobia enim de oye emma asumdwe eba mienu ameka etwa to still on the helper no ba ko ye say prioritizing na we de ebre na sons mamenka kakra ansa na yapon. This issue of prioritizing is one of the areas that young, especially going to phone you, how can see you? Adentia, because ye juma, ye pesca. The issue of oba prioritizing the woman, the husband doesn't come into question. The wife's first priority is your husband, not even your children. And it's really interesting. I have struggled with this personally. But the day I met here, did you know? So the moment that you start what happens? All the love goes to the child, and the child gets a double win because when you papa love, when you mommy love. So oba no started do bear the love goes to the child. And this is difficult, but remember, roles are created by God for happiness in the family. Some of these things may be tough. So we have Bontia, but as someone American, the first recipient of her help is her husband. Now, Mibusa, man, do not never give breadcrumbs. So Otopanoa, and Fadiabubuono. What it means is say wodono emfa wodono de abubuo no de asano empropro wa na wase no emfa no mawukunu because enye se na nyame bo no. Your husband need the real thing ohia odono full because also no na your priority in this life. And then it means to say ade ehia wo no se wukunu bedidie se woni die se wukunu be shatade se wukunu be yewe se wo ba no wo start se wo dwene ho no wa ya. Do you know what happens? The happiness a fie no is so superb. The moment I be prioritizes sa and say oh obi be ye no obi ho a abontinsofo no aduane e be fie no be ma na nya bi adi. And all these things are recipe for disaster. Don't prioritize bibi ehun hia. Allowing, don't prioritize it the least. Nidie any obuo stronko emma wukunu no. If we say Yankopon per se or ye number one fan. And the last one, say the eka emema de no. Oba must also appreciate the husband. Yaka it's one of the important phrases I'm managing. Say only the positive goes to the husband, all the negative goes to God. Bra and kebe discusses our part we say because me guys will be a question be say me kunu no monsa opema into how do you want me to still have positive adi? Say me the positive adeno ebemano. The truth of the matter yes said you wukunu tie bia no se wo appreciate no as he is baby obeko bia no he will come back. But sometimes ya na yenu no ma no yenya sa abotre no se be ma no use the skills and media man no they make the woman first na se woman also respond with niema ye ka ho asem ya. Do you know what is going to happen? The home will be a sweet home. Or say, let your words bring out the best, not the beast. Because sometimes man be ho akasa no piepe na de edi akire no I bring it the worst e wo be manim enti oba mawukunu your number one fan. One of my professors be a the manage na ho say woni ne yiri hia the way oba describe papa no no abusa say papa you ochire made ya ho asem ne ye kan na say papa foforo so no because doctor doctor how he does this, because Omahu said, Obano say, doctor is my number one fan. Nikuno is his number one fan. Now once let your words and speech. Into the it comes down to the last one, which is submission. Submission is a godly imperative. Submission. I'm just going to rush through some of the texts. Ephesians 22 to 33. Colossians 3:18. Ninyanaka says submission to husband is a submission to God. But 1 Peter said, Oba, submit to your husband, but don't be disobedient in this submission. What does it mean? Submission doesn't mean, say, we are servant, we are inferior, inti tinahoni and degrade you, we are weak, inti ma ukunu empresso na a crash. That is not submission. No, submission as a personal strength, which is also showing say you respect your husband. Sometimes we have something that we call tough love. For you to ensure the best of your husband comes out, you need to look at submission and respect in a different way. Nyankopon sem etimi biebiem eboa me at submission, but the key thing I can is problems in marriages will always be there. But the more you submit to your husband, and the more the husband make the woman the first, a bra or make it the lady no first. Now Obano so respond with these things as a helpmate, as a submissive wife, as ubia or prioritizing ikunono or yebi mani kunono. And it turns out, say, everybody is a winner in the house. And then the husband appreciates the wife the more. And the wife is the only one the husband now tends to trust. Obano becomes the only person Bermano trusted. Bermano becomes the only person Obano trusted. Why? Because the two respect each other. Omumie no obia bu ne yonko, obia ye ne famu de said de abusua no beko nanim na ede inshabre. And the question Amidija Yenina said, does knowing that my spouse think differently change anything for me? Me dwene ho say me kunu adwene differently. Me kunu ye different. Me yere ye different. Me wasede, me yere wasede. Yemi enu nyina no needs to sit down, absorb this. Say etna say. Na me dwene kwan mefa so. Amadi say Nyankopon abo me the best out of me and come out. Does it make any difference at all? Question I did Jayan. Yamin Shrayen, no more yen, na onka ye ho. Na ne de yesuyen intimi mo yen, emi abusua, enye krabe hwe. E woni din mu da. Amen.